Okay, so welcome to another Skull City podcast. I'm your host, BTA Rennie, also known as God's Son. We have a hot topic on the table today. I got my man Henry to my right, and I got my man Dewan down at the end of the table. We're going to get into some decent conversation tonight, or today. So before we get started, I'd like each one of my guests here to go ahead and just give a little introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Pull up. My name is Brother Henry, CEO Brother Henry. I'm one of the co-founders of Kickers Academy, business coach, professional speaker, and author. And that's me, man, just your brother.
Go ahead, Dewan.
All right, I'm Dewan Hawkins. It's a local podcast, so some of y'all out there might know me. Born and raised here in the city, A15. You know, I was a local athlete around here. A lot of y'all probably know me from that. Other than that, man, I'm a father of 5, and man, that's what I live for, pretty much at this point.
And a hardworking young man at that, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So the topic that's on the table today is both of these brethren are fathers. And so they're both very, very active in their children's lives and in the community as well. I wanted to kind of talk about what I call the 3 daggers that society has weaponized against the African-American male. And society has put it out that we're not good fathers. We just don't take care of we're absentee. And then they say that we make poor husbands. We can't be faithful. We can't keep one wife. And then the most important thing, I think, well, maybe not most important, but they say we can't build wealth. We don't know how to maintain our own communities. So let's talk about that today. And I'm going to kick it off with, in 2020, CBS did a report, and in that report, they said that black men were actually more active in their children's lives than any other group of people in the country. What's your take on that?
I mean, to me, it's kind of a subjective thing. The way stereotypes come about, there's typically some truth in it, and there's typically some biasness in it. So, you know, every grouping, I guess, is going to have their own viewpoint. So to say just objectively black men across the board are just not good, are not good fathers?
Well, yeah, that's what they. That's what they. But you see, that's been a narrative that they've played on us.
Yeah, but black people aren't a monolith, is my point. Like, do we have some brothers who can do better? Absolutely. Do we have some brothers who are phenomenal? Absolutely. So, and I think every culture is like that. Every ethnicity, every race is like that. Like, we as a people are the only people. Black people in America are the only people who get lumped together. Like we're a monolith. Like,
well, I feel you on that. That's the reason why I said this. When it comes to politics, we need politicians that are different than what's the mainstream politicians, because we're the only group of people that's been targeted by the system for alienation and destruction. That's let's face it, going back to the 1800s, there was plans put in place to destroy the black family,
Facts.
to destroy the black man. So our political scheme needs to be totally different. So on your point, when you talk about, is this a monolith or is black people the only, one they're saying this about? I think it becomes important when we're targeted with that, though, and it's thrown on our back and is used to denigrate us individually.
Absolutely.
And then to humiliate us publicly.
Well, I think, too, when you start getting into the history of what black people have gone through in this country, and then when you dig into the history of what's been done to black men, the fact that we're even able to be fathers, the fact that we're even able to be present, that in and of itself is more miraculous than anything else, because there's no other culture of people that can say that they've been through, a Tuskegee experiment, just for an example, right?
Yeah.
Just something just that aspect, or the breaking of our families through slavery, or the burning down of our cities through Reconstruction, or the targeted lynching of us, or, the biases in our neighborhoods or redlining. So there's so much that we've been through, and as striving to be men, as heads of household and to run a family, the fact that we're even able to be here is miraculous in and of itself, because it would have broke most people. You know what I'm saying? So we are, when I see black men, personally, my personal view is I salute black men, especially if you're a father and you putting in work.
Yes.
I'm like, yo, that's because you don't know what, and then even for us, like me growing up, I'm an 80s baby, so the stuff that we saw growing up, on top of everything else that's already on our shoulders, just making it through that to get here.
Yeah,
I salute black men. I'm like, yo, we done made it through crack cocaine, America. We done made it through drive-by shootings. We done made it through gang banging over, back in the day, if I got Blue Devils, it's all the BDs and Blue Devils and the GD. You know what I'm saying? Like, we went through some stuff to get here. So for us to be fathers today, man, salute to all the black men out there. That's how I see it.
Man, I say kudos to that, my brother. I'm down with that one. So I had to shine that one. Go ahead, brother.
No, my take is, I think it's just that it's more perception is a reality thing, where it's a perceived notion that amongst the consensus that black men are bad fathers. I don't even think it's that, though. I think it's that we're more invalidated than anything. So if you looked at if they're invalidating your actions and the things that you do and what you stand for as a father, then it's hard to, in my mind, ever be able to see the value in what they bring, just because of the mindset. You don't want to give credit. They say, hey, well, if a black man step up and he being an active, strong father, most people will say, well, I ain't going to say most people. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to just say in certain situations, they might say, well, you just doing what you're supposed to do. But they don't really understand the black man and understand that most of us come from not having fathers. So the way that we view fatherhood needs to be validated.
Facts.
I agree. And and that's what's so interesting about that study that said black men were more involved with their children than any other group of people in this country. That's why I thought that was an excellent article. First of all, because like you said, let's face it, our head's been on the chopping block since day one.
Absolutely.
We have never been
there.
validated as genuine by society, I mean.
Right. So this is what I'm saying, is that more so than it even is being a poor father in the eyes of many, it's just a lack of ability for the world to really take a bird's eye view and see the black man experience. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know his experience, then you really don't know his plight for real, I feel.
I agree.
Hey, can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So he said something that was really critical that I thought, because like me, my parents got divorced when I was like maybe 4, 5, 6, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I really didn't have a black male figure growing up. It was like men in the community that try to do what they do, but I really had that black male figure in the household. And so they had this experiment on YouTube you can go check out. It's called the flea experiment, where they take a bunch of fleas, they put them in a jar, and then naturally fleas can jump like 6 feet. You put them in a jar, you put the little glass top over them. After 24 hours, they'll only jump to where that top is at. Yeah. If you remove the top and remove the glass, the fleas will still only jump to that top. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the body. There's something wrong with their mind. Mm-hmm. If you take another flea from outside that colony and you introduce it to those fleas and they see that flea jump, then those same fleas will like, oh, I can jump, and they'll go back to jumping the regular way they're supposed to. Yeah. But if you don't, then those fleas will even teach their children to only jump to the top of that glass. And so for us, a lot of us, like what he said, if we didn't have a father in the household, we trying to figure it out. We never had the flea come in and show us like this what it looks like to be a good father. We just had ideas based on the negative things that we felt of not having a father present. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us, me personally, I experienced that. Like, you know what? When I get older and have children, I'm never gonna put my children through what I went through from not having a father in the household. So a lot of us too, we get judged, but it's like, hey, we trying to figure this thing out. We never really had an example of what a father's supposed to do. We just guessing like, hey, you know what? I would have wanted this as a child. I would have wanted this as a child. I would have wanted this. And we figuring it out.
It ain't no playbook for sure.
No, ain't no playbook.
but I do feel like also that you also can't take it and try to utilize that as an excuse either.
Facts.
So I mean, it go both ways. If you just being entirely honest, like not having a father could be a good, and it's got its negative. Just. So not having it could very much strike the chord in you to say, once I have kids, listen, I'm gonna make sure that they don't ever have to experience what I had to go through. But then on the flip side of that, what that can also do to you traumatically, growing up, some men really have the incapacity to do it because they just never experienced it, so they can't empathize with what a kid might be missing.
True.
Mm-hmm. So 100%. So here's the thing. Now, we all realize that our back has been against the wall, in a manner of speaking. You commented, you talked about social engineering. That's what happens when you put fleas in a container and they can only, the crab barrel mentality, right?
Yes, sir.
We all talk about that, but we have to realize with the fleas, the ceiling was set. Crabs were never designed to be in a barrel.
Facts.
So what do you think crabs are going to do? They're going to freak out. So we get that. We see that, And we know we've had to have these fights in our community, not only against the police, but against the educational system, against the justice system. It's like we always got to fight for something. We can go to the store and be mistreated and still have an argument. So when I see a report that says we're more involved than anybody else, here's where I think we need to kind of take a look at that, because we need to stop being concerned about what other people think about us, first of all.
Oh, facts.
For sure.
And we start thinking about what we think about ourselves.
Facts.
Man, that's the heart of the issue.
Yeah, and so when this report came out, in 2020 it came out, and then CBS did it in 2020, CDC, Center for Disease Control, did it in 2024.
Right.
They both came to the same conclusion. But it was an educated black woman who said that that study was bogus because it didn't talk about the quality of time, the amount of time. And I had to ask myself when I heard her say that or read her say that, how do you measure a father's love for their child in terms of quality and volume? I think it's immeasurable. When a father's truly involved, hey, you know what? He can walk through the door, and that little kid can see dad. Boom, that's magic right there. That's volume.
Exactly.
That's intensity. You see what I mean?
It is.
When we're there. But in our own community, though, we got our own people, and it's and I'm gonna have another show we talk about black relationships, But I feel like sometimes black women come down on us, though. I think they're harder on us than society is.
What you think about it being more aware? I mean, my perspective on it is I think that a lot of relationships, when people have children and they no longer together, just become so transactional, then that it actually takes away the real thing that it needs, a soft spot for that kid to be able to dwell. And I say that because it's like, okay, well, it's going to be ups and downs, I feel, for every man. And I mean, there might be times where you can spoil your kid right, and there might be times where it's tough, and you might not be able to spoil them with money, but you still spoil them with love by you still support everything that they do. They could call you, for whatever. So I feel like once you can take away that transactional aspect of it and humanize the kid and say, okay, we got to try to get on one mindset and one frequency so we can try to get that kid the best opportunity to have a healthy platform to go out into the world with, without being, having to deal with things that they shouldn't have to deal with. But
No, that's facts.
I mean, just to bring it all the way back is I just don't want it to be where if you're a dedicated father or whatever, just a trying father, period, I don't want the kid to equate times that you might not be able to do something for them material-wise with the way that you actually feel about them. And I feel like that's what treating everything transactional is, the mindset that you start to give the kid at that point. And I just feel like it hinders the ability.
So Faraya Chidea wrote a book back in the 90s. It was called Don't Believe the Hype.
Right.
And she tackled the hype that's going around about all the statistics that surrounding black people were having the highest dropout rate, having the highest rate in prison. And she said it was all hype. Because when you look at it, when we talk about fatherhood, I mean, black women have always been resilient. They've always been able to bring us through, right? So maybe dad wasn't in the house, but guess what? Uncle was there, cousin was there, granddad was there. There's always been that male model there that we drew from, whether we realize that or not. So when we talk about absentee of fathers, you gotta understand, okay, maybe dad wasn't there, but there was someone there. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe that because black men are fathers, we say father's not in the home, that you can't go and become a great father yourself. Because you have something it could be the coach in school. It could be a teacher. It could be a preacher. It could be anybody. But you've got that role model.
I think, too, though, we should be when the conversation about black men not being present in the homes, we can't skip past white supremacy, racism, as though, Section 8 wasn't created to put black men out the house. As though the projects wasn't created and said you can have a black man live in the house, or you can have a father in the house if you want to get these food stamps, or if you want to get this link, if you want to get this WIC. Like, we can't act like redlining wasn't designed. If you can move, we'll move you in the neighborhood, but you can't have a man in the household. So, like, the entire social engineering package was designed to put black men out the house.
Right.
There's an argument whether or not Willie Lynch was a real person or not. It's irrelevant. The science of
the method
destroying the black woman and destroying the black family. Yeah, the implementation is real.
It's
we see
real.
we feel it. Every day.
You could look around, man, and it was, I'll just say, indoctrinated, meaning that it's a deep sense of of will that was broken. You know what I mean?
Well, it's divide and conquer. So in the Willie Lynch letter, or whatever you want to call it, one of the key principles was to divide the black man. And how do you do that? You divide the young black man from the older black man.
Facts.
If you look at the devastating thing about the transatlantic slave trade, if you look at that population that was taken out of Africa, it was that middle group. 14 to 37 was the average age, right? So what does that leave? The older generation and then the new generation. The olders die off, and now you got a whole generation coming along, cut off from their history, and and now they're trying to find their way.
And
conquer and divide. That's been America's tool.
The thing about it, I teach this to our students in school. We do Black History class every week. It's built into the curriculum. So one of the electives is Black History every week, right? And it helps that I'm on a research team, so that helps, right? I'll tell us, it's a cell phone. It's your iPhone. It's on iOS. But your iOS is just an operating system. And if the operating system that's being programmed in us as a people was like Willie Lynch, then you can't, when you see the results, you can't be surprised. Like, if you go to your iPhone and you push a button and the app pops up, nobody's surprised.
Yeah.
But we act like the media will paint this picture like they're surprised when the button is pushed that black people act a certain way. But you programmed us like that. You told us that for men, it would be cool for us to make a bunch of babies with a bunch of women but not be present. You programmed that. Then you made movies. You had music. You had all these things to reinforce these negative ideas. It wasn't until brothers came together in tables like these start talking about it like, wait a second, hold on. They're running game on us and then we see it. You know what I'm saying? So the flip side of that is it's not accidental. It's social engineering.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was a grand design for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, they make money off of us. They make money off the idea, because the idea is given to our young people, and then our young people hear it and they're like, oh, this is the way it should be, versus they got to come sit at a table and then you start talking to some of your OGs, you're like, no, this is how it actually should be. Not what you're hearing on the radio, not what you're seeing on TV, not what you're watching in the movies, not how they're painting this picture. That's not reality. The real reality is this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's self-hate, man, and I feel like
it's deep.
Within the Willie Lynch leather are great aspect of it. I wouldn't call it great. What I'm saying is one of the most impactful, I feel, things that happen just from behind those principles that he wrote in the letter was that the perpetuation of the self-hate within us, and we don't even recognize it. So just to give you an example, like the internet play too much, we all know, right? So you see memes and little things on there that's very much rooted in reality. Like you see the skits where they say, like, you can see you walking your kid to school or whatever, and then there's some other cats across the street like, man, look at this nigga being a good dad.
Oh, yeah, I see.
But they don't even understand from what the actual mentality that thinks
that's
that
facts.
way is among us every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that, man, they did a job on us.
So and that's the thing I'm saying, man. For us to emerge from under that, I could go into redlining, I could talk about the social engineering, I could talk about the Willie Lynch, because that's so deep, and I would really love to, but we just won't have the time. So I want to kind of, So when we talk about it, and I said that we sometimes, you talk about self-hate, but we also have an internalized disgust for one another, where I'm starting to feel like black women in general, not all of them, and I want to say there's levels to this too, because if you get to me, I've seen the educated black woman with the doctorate, the master's, they tend to turn away from black men to me. If you take that black woman who's that mother, who has that job, who's just working, no degrees, she loves her black men. That's how I see it.
What do you think that is? I know you. A lot of people might not know, but I mean, you was, I view you like a father figure. You built, forever. I know you well read and, just then took it deeper than the average. What do you think that is? I just want you to educate.
So
the
you
table.
mean so you saying when the black female turns on the black male?
Yeah. What do you think that's rooted in?
Well, that goes. You can take that all the way back to Willie Lynch too as well. Because what was the first thing that Willie Lynch letter did? It taught the black woman to be afraid for the black man's life. Now, how did they do that? With the quartering drawn. They would literally beat the black male to death in front of the female. Two things created was out of that. One, he's helpless and you can't depend on him. Social engineering comes along with welfare, and what does welfare say? He's unreliable, you can't depend on him, you gotta have us take care of you. And I think it became a state of mind so that even when we got into those good relationships, we ruined them because, let me just call it societal norms, right? That we say this is, the way it should be. This is how it is. Black men ain't shit. Let's just face it,
Right.
The level of respect is out the window. Back, I wasn't there, but I'm assuming there was a time in our history in this country
Right.
where black women truly loved and respected black men. I know in the South they did a lot because I used to hear about it, But as we moved further towards the North and we got into this modernized civilization or whatever, then, a lot of things came out to hurt us, Let's face it, that Women Lives program came out. That was a big kick in the ass for us.
What is?
Well, that's where the women wanted to become the man,
Oh Lord.
They didn't no longer want to submit to the man. If you can carry a weapon and go to war, then so can I. And I'm not going to debate those things. I wouldn't want my woman out there with no gun trying to carry. But see, all those things happened, and it affected the mind. It became a mind state.
Right.
And that's why, again, Dee Berry, the PhD from DePaul, she was the one who said that's a frivolous report. It can't be true because black men ain't shit. But she's a black woman.
Can I add this in?
Sure.
So, a lot of times, we look at the symptoms, right? We're looking at the symptoms. And Willie Lynch letter created a lot of the symptoms, but I want to say it was Neely Fuller Jr. who said that if you don't understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it operates, everything else will confuse you. And the problem with so many things that we look at is we don't know what we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? We keep missing the trees for the forest because unless and until as a people we're willing to deal with who we are, how we got here, what's going on, then we're never going to see reality for what it is. So even like black women's response, and not all black women, but some black women's response, we don't understand the programming that's been done to build up we don't understand how we draw these conclusions because we're not looking at life through the proper lens. We're looking at life through the assimilated lens, not actually who we are. So even in the Willie Lynch letter, they talked about breaking the black man from his natural state, like you would break a horse. But the question is, what's the natural state? Because all we know today is the Negro state. We don't know the natural state. And the more you get in tune with the natural state, you're like, wait a second, there's all these things that's wrong. And so a lot of times, I understand what the sister's trying to say is, how do you define quality, right? Like, what's the metric? Because as an entrepreneur, and I teach when I'm with other CEOs, nothing is a goal unless it's measurable, right? Like, my goal is to be nicer to my mom. Well, it's not really a goal. You can't measure it, right? It needs to be measured. So if you say black men's quality, well, how do you measure quality? Because what's quality for me and what's quality for him could be different.
For sure. Like,
walking in the door to me is quality. My daddy would just walk through the door. That's all I need. You know what I'm saying? But some children may need more different, so you can't really measure that. So, but I think with us as a people, it's the way that we see reality because we've been so assimilated into society that the majority stuff that makes us us, anything that would have been from our origins, from where we come from, or even going into the future, we don't know and we're not connected to.
All right. So we got to move along, man, because time is running out. This is a great conversation. I said we can have this conversation forever,
Right.
hours. Some of the reasons that society has said that we don't make good fathers is because we're always in jail. Or
it all tie in together though.
we're dead,
Same
or we're
conversation.
junkies, or like you said, we have too many kids, Speak on that, somebody. What's up with that? Are we always in jail? Because my girl here, Faraya, said that's a bull. Said we're not the highest. Well, we are the highest prison population, but we don't outnumber high school dropout rate. Wait a minute, how does she say that? No, yeah, we have more men in prison than we do in college. That's high. That's not true. We have actually more men in college, black men in college, than we do in prison. So how do we combat those stereotypes that society want to force on us?
Man, they control the media. So a lot of these things is like when he said to me, like, if they say, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, did we derive from like the Egyptian, like where it was king and queen? And so when you said the natural state, that's what I feel is we was born with that internal king and queen within us. So once they broke that, they told us what our culture should be and how we should act and the things that we should. This is black culture.
Facts.
And I feel like they just constantly did it through music, through TV, through media, till we just completely adapted to it.
So we all agree that we're guinea pigs in their laboratory.
For sure.
That's what it comes down to. But see, that's the thing. There's a flip side to it, though.
They hate the ones that still walk around with that sense of king, though.
Yeah.
You have more problem with white people when you feel a sense of pride about your intellect, your presence, your aura amongst white people. They don't like those.
They feel that, don't they? Let me just say this real quick, brother, and I'm gonna get because you made a comment earlier about Black history.
Yes, sir.
And excuse me. And I'm going to say this that I was having a meeting with a black principal in school who had made the statement that I slammed the door in their face, which is a lie because I'm not that ignorant. I don't slam the door in anybody's face. But I told her, I said, you can be very aggressive at times, And I think that educated women feel like they can dominate, so I feel like they are aggressive. That's my opinion. I told her, I said, you can be aggressive. And she said to me, well, that's strange that a black man will call a black woman aggressive, especially during Black History Month. And I looked at her and I said, here's what I want you to understand. Black History Month is not our history. It's America's Black history, because that's when all the bullshit America did is exposed.
Right.
So it's America's Black history. It's not mine. And I wanted to make that point to make sure that we understand that when we talk about Black history,
right,
that's not our history.
Right.
When you talk about who we descended from,
exactly,
that's our history right there. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead. I had to make that point real quick.
All right. Just 2 quick points I hit. Number one, so, in my entrepreneurial journey, this is here in Rockford. I had to bring it local so that way touch folks that can feel it. So I went to this meeting when me and my wife owned the beauty supply store that had opened up on North Main Street, Kickerford's Beauty Supply. But before we got there, we had to go to City First. When I came to the first meeting, I had my suit on, briefcase. I'm in the Nation of Islam, so it's already understood.
That's where I met you at.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I came in, briefcase, suit. The entire meeting was shook. The meeting barely happened. So me talking strong as a black man, I'm like, you could just feel the tension in the room. They was like, yo, who is this brother think he is talking to us like a man? Because, Willie Lynch, you don't talk to the slave master man to man. I'm in there dealing like, no, this what this is, and this fear. So me and my wife was like, let's test the theory. Next meeting I came to, jogging outfit, I sat there and I didn't say nothing. The fear and the tension in the room went all the way down. I let her do the talking, and there was less fear because they didn't fear her the same way they feared a black man coming in. So we started understanding business language. But that transfers over to everything, though. Mm-hmm. It's not just in business. It's everything. When black men come in strong, that's the fear, is a strong black educated man that understands and knows what he's doing. And most of the times we get co-opted. Because I've seen it. I've been in entrepreneurship long enough to see when real money gets on the table, most of us get co-opted.
So let me stop you there, because we're going to get into that, because that's another, because they said we can't build wealth. So we're going to talk about building wealth and how we can do that too.
I'll say that.
So then the other thing is we talked about, or what they claim, we're not good husbands. We're not good. We're not faithful partners to our wives. And I think when we talk about that, we have to first of all make it plain that I don't think it's a race thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's a man thing. I think some men, let's just face it, they got it in them. They hoes. They like to run around. I don't think that's got anything to do
Right.
with
Right.
art. With them saying, but because of the media, because when you see the movies, we got tons of babies in the movies. We drug dealers in and out of prison. You know, our goal in terms of building wealth is to build a kingpin for drugs. That's how society just painted us.
Right.
And they say that because of that, we don't respect black women, or we don't respect women at all. We have, you know, and none of this is taken into consideration, but they say we have, you know, like kids by multiple partners, you know. But then society turns around and it paid the Caucasian male as that strict father who's faithful to his wife, you know. And I think there's some of the most, you know, it's just my opinion, I think some of the most diabolical people and immoral people out there. But they want to paint that back on us as being bad husbands.
No, I mean, that's terrible that's the viewpoint, because you exactly right, man. And I don't want to draw a line like from an opposition standpoint, but it's man, listen, I done seen it on all sides. Like,
Yeah.
it's white people who freaking treat their dog better, you know. I'm serious though. Then they'll treat their kids. I just hate it for us though,
Right.
because we live in this space where we constantly have to combat something.
Yeah.
You know, and
We're always fighting, always outnumbered.
yeah. So it's like you saying, we could go down a list of things basically of what they say about us, and
Right.
usually it ain't good.
Facts.
None of it is looked at with value. So I mean, at the core of it, the invalidation is just say, I just feel like it's just rooted through all aspects of the black man's life and experience.
So I think kind of like what my brother said to the side, that when we talk about, you know, manhood, black manhood, we talk about it, but we never break it down to what it really truly is.
Yeah, facts.
And I think if we could break it down to what it truly is, that one lie can be thrown right out the window, that we don't make good husbands. Because you know what? I've seen some black men. Now, hey, I've been married twice, all right? But I'm just a minute in that number, though. If you look at my life and try to say black men ain't no good, then you might have a point. That was a good place to laugh.
Right,
But seriously, though, I've seen black men that have been faithful. You know, my mentor, my pastor, you know, he was a good man and he loved his wife, you know. And I've had friends that dated the same girl since high school and they're still married right now today. And I've seen them build families too. Good, strong families, you know.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes down to our ability to be a husband or father, I think that should be more individualized than collective. I don't think you should throw us all in the same bucket.
Yeah, we're not a monolith like that. That's the thing about stereotypes. Stereotypes, for the most part, make black people a monolith. But we're not all the same. We all different. We got different swag. We all talk different. We move like we're not like you can't just expect that we all gonna be the exact same way. So I've been married 18 years, and in them 18 years, I've seen people married longer than me. I've seen people get divorced. But it's like it's across the board. But if you look at other cultures. In other cultures, you may have a man who may have like 2 or 3 wives, right? If he's doing culturally, those men aren't being dogged out. That's their culture. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
so
yeah.
that's their culture. So to them, it's like natural.
Right.
Oh, I can take care of this. I can take care of the families. I have children here, here, and here. As long if the wife's not complaining, the children not complaining, the family functions and it's not dysfunctional, then that's their operating system. You know, but for us in America, especially for black men, we're knocked for everything. It doesn't matter what we attempt to do. We could be the most faithful. We still gonna get knocked.
Still gonna
They
get
gonna be like,
knocked.
oh, he spends all his time at work. He doesn't spend time with his children. You're like,
Yeah,
man,
man,
I gotta
that's
provide for the children. Oh, he doesn't work. He doesn't work. But he doesn't work. The woman works. He stays home, and now he because he's not working, he's not a good. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what we do, there's always this narrative in the media that knocks black men no matter what. They never take the positive angle, and if they do, there's always a cut. So with
Always
anytime, even with the CDC reports and stuff that came out, I always look for what's the cut. Because anytime they give us praise, it's like backhanded praise. It's like telling a woman, like, man, of all the ugly women here, you the prettiest. And then she like, oh, I'm the prettiest of all the ugly women. But you just called her ugly. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah.
She don't.
Yeah.
It's a backhanded compliment. Like
Always,
America always give us backhanded. They never come to us with genuine praise because white supremacy is not built on genuine praise of black men. They can't in their mind in the ideology of what we've seen thus far. And I want to say Francis Cress Wilson, who wrote ISIS Papers, which the movie Baby Boy is built on. In their mind, in order for white men to be the man, black men cannot be a man. And it goes back to when they conquered the Zulus and they saw the manhood amongst the Zulus. And it was like, they said it doesn't matter if we lose the war. We have to break the manhood in them. And it's been that way from the Zulu tribe forward with black men.
So you're saying basically these rumors that are going around about our inabilities is designed to break us.
Absolutely.
To continue to break us.
Because think about it like this. If you're a white male and you never grew up around black people, because I was a police officer for 5 years. I saw people that was never around us, that come around us and be like, oh man, you got 2 Chainz on. Automatically they assume you and 2 Chainz are the same person. So whatever 2 Chainz said on the song, that's you.
That's you.
You could be in college,
funny.
getting your degree, whatever. Man, I know he's selling dope. Like I was in cars with police officers listening to them talk, and I'm like, because in their mind, I'm with them because we both got a badge on. But in my mind, I'm like, this stops.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm listening to the conversation every time even here in Rockford, I know I'm long-winded. Let me get this last point off. I did a training with Rockford's gang task force when I was working at NIU. And I asked them, I was like, hey, when y'all do y'all little, when you do your setups for your stings and whatnot, like, how do y'all set up? He said, well, we normally start off, down on Auburn Street. And I was like, that's crazy. I live off Auburn Street, right? When I'm off duty. I said, what do you look for? He said, we look for the black guys, in the jogging pants.
The gangsters.
I'm like, oh, that's me off duty.
Yeah.
Everything they described to me about what they're looking for is me off duty.
Yeah.
In my neighborhood where I stay. But if that's what you're targeting, why? I'm like, if I wasn't in this room with you, I would be a target. You know what
See,
I'm saying?
they don't come out and say you got the jogging suit on. They use a code word. Because when I worked for them, every day at the roll call, the conversation was how many gangsters we gonna bust today.
How many gangsters?
That basically meant how many niggas we gonna
Right.
get today.
Right, they call
And
it-
if I saw him in a jogging suit, he could be, if I didn't know you, right? To me, you were a gangster.
Simple.
Those are images that they projected in the minds. But my question is, how do we get beyond? How do we let our women know you're protected? We're here for you. Because you know what? Let's face it, man. We all struggle in relationships. There's been times where, we needed somebody to talk to, right?
Facts.
But do we have that out though? Do we have it? Can we go and talk to a brother about our relationship and say,
I feel like most of us, I say most of us because of where I grew up. So I consider the most as the ones that I know best. So I'm going off my experiences, and the experiences of the people around me. And most of us just been, I feel, misinformed, man, like to a great degree. And when I say misinformed, I'm basically saying that, like, if you was a young kid in school who could read, a black kid, for example, it's the other black men in the classroom with you a nerd or basically all the things that we should value, we was taught not to value. And it's just the complete opposite mindset. Like, to have money, we thought only white people could do it. We was just so boxed in mentally. If you was the guy who had one girlfriend, you a lame, and basically you a sucker. So that's why you see so many black men trying to conform to what they told us the norm is. Like, no, man, you ain't cool if you unless you got
five
few
holes on the
women
side?
or
Right,
you
right. You gotta have
you
hoes.
doing this. So it's just like the
Gotta have it,
idea
yeah.
of what it is to be a strong, healthy black man who carry yourself with pride and decency. It's just they taught us, like, through misinformation that that's not what you should want to be.
Facts.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to even envision
we gotta
in our
change
mind,
that.
a lot of us.
We got to change that narrative. We got to get the message out.
But there's truth to it, though. It's
Truth too.
it's truth to the narrative of black men being absent in our community. It's not all. Yes, they're good.
But that goes back to that. I would say social engineering. To
But
me,
it definitely is a social. You ever heard of like old bulls in Africa?
yeah.
So like that whole scenario with the old bulls, when the male elephants was gone, the young elephants went crazy. But then we
Yeah.
look in our community, we see the young people going crazy. The women got fat, lazy. They stopped taking care of the children. The women in our community, the number one most
Yeah.
obese. You know what I'm saying? The number one of all those negative statistics, when they brought the male elephants back into the jungle, within 2 weeks, the jungle got back into place. In our community, there's an absence of, it's not an absence of men, it's an absence of strong black men. It's a difference of men who are willing to be men. So for case in point, I seen the video footage of a sister at Waylo young 17-year-old brother comes in. She got her purse. He grabs her purse. It's a brother right there. This brother is about 6'4", look like he eat iron for breakfast.
Man, they gonna pull their phone out before they do
The brother, like, so the sister screaming, she fighting for her purse. The brother 6'4", swole. He like, he's robbing her. I'm like, so, but real manhood is, listen, if you a man and you seeing that happen, like, no, this is the time you J down.
You spring in
for
action.
your community and to protect the young sister. But we like we say stuff like, that ain't my sister. And like, that go back to that same social engineering. But that, if the community was full of men that the young people could look up to, then the young people would be in check. Like, no young people come around me. I don't care if you think you the hardest person. You can't come around me and be like that, because it's not. I don't allow it. You know what I'm saying?
Let me say this then. To remedy that,
Yeah.
to change that narrative, we have to get together and raise the standard for our own community. We can't allow the outside folks to do it. We got to tell that brother.
Facts.
You know, I was watching this thing about Kurt Franklin. Well, I really wasn't watching it, but I guess he was coming out being gay, you know, and then his dad was gay, and then his son was gay.
Man, Kurt been showing out on TikTok.
But listen. But here,
My bad.
but hear my point, though. Hold on. Let me say it. So when I saw that, I said, like you, I said, what's really going on? What are you really trying to say? And why are you bringing this out on TV about this man's personal life? Oh, it's him bringing his own. No. There's an agenda behind that. And here's that agenda. I want to put it in the minds of black men. It's okay to be gay. It's okay, you know, because here's a superstar that's gay. So if you want to be gay, go ahead. And listen, I'll be the first one to tell you right now, I don't downplay whatever your sexuality is, orientation. That's your business, not mine.
Yeah.
Be who you are. But please don't bring it to the table and try to seduce other men and our young boys into becoming that.
Man, they doing that to the masses. I don't even think it's just to us. It's across. Like, literally, you can't turn on your phone or your TV.
But see, here's what you got to understand, though. When you say they're doing it to the masses, if you look at us, I think they outnumber us. To every one black person in this country, there's 11 whites, right?
Right.
So when you say they're doing it in the mass, we don't have a whole lot of mass. So if you take 30%, black people right now represent 6% of the entire state of Illinois. But yet, over 22% are incarcerated. So when you start talking about, you know, doing it to the groups, you got to understand one thing: we're at a disadvantage. So even the smallest number is going to affect and hurt us. We have got to find a way to change that narrative.
Can I add this in too? Is exactly what you're saying is when it comes to that. You know how HIV started off as gay white men in like San Francisco? By the time we got like mid-90s, it was black women. So you're like, yo, how HIV start off with gay white men in San Francisco, and then we end up with black women. So, because you were right, the masses get targeted, but it's only, that's how the experiment starts. So you can say it's not biased. By the end, it becomes a black thing. So with HIV, we saw gay white men turn into black women. And I don't think I think that defeats the purpose I don't think gay white men were sleeping with black women. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So what was the transition is how it was targeted.
What was the agenda behind
that? Same thing with the homosexual movement is it starts off the masses. Everything is, you turn TV on, everything nowadays is cartoons, everything is that. But
everybody's
as they start to niche down, the niche is decimating the black population.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
And what was his name? Farrakhan, man. I'm not a Muslim, but I mean, I do find myself watching different speakers who are deemed, you know, I guess powerful. You know, you got a following of people who, you know, that.
Well, I listen to Farrakhan.
So I mean, the one thing he said to me that stuck was, you know, when it was a long time ago. I think it was on like the Donahue show or something, and they was asking him, like, in his mind, like, what would it take, you know, for black people to be able to bounce back from the oppression that they faced. And he basically said that the mind has been conditioned. And I feel like that's what we living out, that experience of that conditioning right now. So and the question is, how do we break free from that? I'm saying, like, just as well as black men got their issues, you know, black women got their issues, I feel like us as a race has been affected by that conditioning.
So, you know, how do we change the narrative? I think we have to, again, as black men, we have to take that stand in our own communities, and we have to make that standard.
Reconditioning the mind.
We have to throw out promiscuity. We have to get back to the basics. We have to regain control of and it comes to my last point, our own economics. We have to regain control of that. One of the things that I wanted my man to come on because he's done that. He's been able to build wealth.
For sure.
And he has his own school and an own store too, right?
No, we got rid of the store.
He
Okay,
had the
okay.
store. I did
But you
business.
had it, though.
I did
Yes, sir.
business with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had the store on Main
Yes,
up
sir.
there, like
Yes,
a
sir.
Yeah.
beauty supply store.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I probably
And you never forget a face, man, that cooked you before. You should cook him at the Y, man.
I can't confirm nor
I used to
deny that
cook
story,
that, man.
man. I can't confirm nor
You
deny
can't
that
confirm or
story.
deny it, huh? But that's been, because in this society, it is true, though, the average black man makes less than everybody else.
Of course.
When you look at the age from 20 to 40, as I remember when I was about 27, and I worked for this corporate company, and this white guy wanted to fly me to his factory because I was like the buyer for Clarcor back at the time. And he said, he says, I was over 30 before I was making $30,000 a year, right?
Who said this?
This is a white guy told me that,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So he was over the age of 30. This was back in the 90s now.
When 30 might have been a little something.
Man, I'm
With
just 30 ain't gonna
Yeah,
be
that was back in the 90s now. But my point, when I listened to him, I said to myself, damn, I'm still making around 20 though. And your job ain't too much different than mine though.
Was the economy really that good with people 30,000?
Well, we was back then,
saying,
yeah.
though.
Yeah, it was.
When I got
It
my
was.
first car, $20 to get you a full tank.
Facts.
Oh,
Gas was under $1.
yeah, gas
Yeah.
98 cents a gallon.
Yeah, the economy was kind of good back then, But it's been the trend, though, in this country where whites, Hispanics have almost always made more money than we have. They control our markets. They've got you had the beauty store, but the Orientals came along. They've just cornered that market in our community. All the stores in our community now that sells our cosmetics.
Hold on, wait. Let me clear that up. Let me
Go
clean
ahead,
that
go
up.
ahead.
They didn't corner the market without social engineering. So when I built my beauty supply store, I went through BSI out of Atlanta, Professor Devin. So we got this history that we got from them because they come in and teach this part because they're cool with black people for whatever reason. So in like the 60s and 70s, when black people had Black Power movement, the government saw economics shifting in the black community. The government came in and gave the Asian community all of the subsidies. I forget the
resources.
size of the loan, but they
Yeah.
gave them like whatever $1 billion loan to take it out of the hands of black people. So it's not an accident that these countries came. The United States government set that up so that black people would not be in charge of those things because they was one of the leading industries. So
And as a
they
result of
gave them that. So now in 2024, you're like, damn, why
But see,
black
as a
people don't-
result of them handing that power over, they control our communities in the cosmetic field.
Absolutely.
But they also bar black cosmetics from being sold to us.
Absolutely.
They
Well,
won't buy from those.
It's like
those-
BET. You can build it, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said business is warfare. If you don't have a military to back your business, they're gonna come take it. It's like the mafia.
And that's what
They're gonna
happened.
give you an offer you can't refuse. So whether it's BET or whether it's any black cosmetic line, you might be successful with it, but they're gonna come tell you, hey, $5 million we want to buy it. And if you're from the hood, $5 million, you go.
That's a lot of money.
Like $5 million, I could leave, keep my product, or I could sell it for $5 million. We don't recognize that it's more powerful to have the product than the money. But when you never had nothing, you gotta take the money. You have to take the money because you're like, I don't know when another $5 million coming. That's me.
And man, I feel you on that 100. But my thing about it, again, I go back to this. When we talk about money markets in our own community, we have to control those, though, because what happens is we give $90 billion a year goes back into the cosmetic industry.
But is it realistic though? The wealth gap is 1.6 trillion to 130 trillion. We don't even have 1% of the wealth that white America has. Of that 130 trillion, 80 to 85% of that money is locked. It's not even available to the community. So the country is fighting over the last 15% of that.
But here's the thing, though. With that, what we don't see is the damage and the effect that that's doing to us, though, because when you look at it, they're in our communities. They don't clean up around those buildings at all. They look horrible.
Right.
They send their kids off to college. Our women go in, our men go in, and we spend $90 billion a year, but our kids are being killed in the streets.
No,
We're not purchasing anything that move our kids forward as collectively, not individually, because we all know that some of us are some damn good fathers and we do everything we can to make sure our child has it all. But collectively, we're not moving our people forward because we're not controlling our own money markets.
No, I agree with you. This is what I'm saying. This is what I was in a room with. So I'm in a bunch of different groups. So one of the big groups I'm in Atlanta, everybody in the room is like black millionaires, right? All young black millionaires. But here's what I realized. Because I was like, yo, I want to bring this culture to Rockford.
You need to bring it because we want it.
Rockford, right?
Yeah.
Then I sat down. It was one of the most depressing days of my life because I felt like I had made some leeways in life, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, if I teach another 1,000 black people to become billionaires, it won't move the needle 1%.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
it won't move. Like, if there was 1,000 of us in a room and all 1,000 of us are billionaires, because 1.6 trillion. Here's comparison. The 1.6 trillion spending power of Black America versus Apple. Apple's worth $2 trillion. So Apple, one white company, is worth more than all 50 million black people combined. Or even if you look at the 5 richest white landowners in America, the 5 richest white landowners own more land than all 55 million black people combined.
But here's the bigger picture.
Right?
Here's the bigger picture. You want to close out in a few minutes. Here's the bigger picture, though. You go back to Black Wall Street.
Right.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, Green Street, Apple Street, and Park Street, Applewood, and Green Street, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we had 36 square miles where we controlled, right?
Absolutely.
So we've got it. So even though America's economy, dwarfed what we had, but we had it though. It was ours.
Right. No, I agree.
So this is where I'm trying to get to. I feel you about the economical.
I still agree with you 100%. All I'm saying is,
I just want us to have our own.
No, and that's my point. Is the ministers? So the Nation of Islam has stood strong on this point since 1930. Unity is the solution, right? And all black people, no matter you in the church, the mosque, wherever, vice lord, street, Kappas, whoever, we got to have unity amongst our people. Not uniformity, but unity. Because uniformity is like everybody doing the same thing the same way. Mm-hmm. Unity is like we got the same goal. Let's get it how we get it.
Yeah.
We got to have unity. And then what you saying is like, because we took our school to the 100th centennial of Black Wall Street. We took our students down to go actually be in Tulsa, walk through, talk to the people. The thing that was different about Tulsa that we don't have here, that we don't understand is segregation destroyed the black community, and we have to be comfortable having our own. Like how they have Chinatown, they have Jewtown, they have.
That's what we
have to be comfortable, and most of us don't feel comfortable. Like if you got something I buy from you, you buy from me. Most of us don't feel comfortable doing that with each other because we like, oh man, like we mentioned earlier, the jealousy and envy amongst us. We don't feel comfortable doing business with each other to make money.
So here's what we need to get back to. And I know you saw them growing up in the projects. They're called open markets. That's that brother selling out of his trunk. Oh, no, that's that brother selling out of his van. Those are open markets. Right. We can control those completely and totally, but we got to get in that frame of mind. We got to understand that that's how you can build wealth, though, in your own community. See, the problem with us, I'm not saying we can't build wealth, because we can. A lot of us lack access to it and don't know how to get the access to it. But we can build wealth because we got to start thinking outside of the box. All right? I can't go to the bank and say, hey, I need $200,000 to open up a company. And I can have $400,000 already in the bank, just need another $200,000. They'll look at me and say, you're too risky.
Facts.
But then you can come along being a white guy and have $200 and borrow $4 million. I'm just, exaggerating. Yeah. Because in my mind, I'm thinking this is how I build wealth, is by going. But hey, what about if I build myself up from the ground? And Martin King had the wonderful saying is that it's a horrible thing to ask a man to build himself up by his bootstraps if he don't have any boots on. So we got to find a way to get some boots and put them on,
man,
so we can build ourselves up.
I feel like just looking at this from a different angle. I feel like if we just speaking on our city, Rockford, I feel like we don't have any like black leadership here, and that's the number one. Like just having one black leader, because what was it saying? Like one boat, or it'll basically raise all the tide to raise all boats, basically. Mm-hmm. Just one. If we had somebody in the city who could interconnect the resources with the people, if the money is truthfully there, because we could talk about it on a mass scale, but like even politically, I think most people don't even understand your most influential thing you could do is even in your local politics, because that's what's going to like directly affect you. How like on the west side of town, they take away anything that's upwardly mobile, like banks, libraries, clinics, resources for black people to be able to thrive. Basically, they take all of that out, and then everybody just think with a survival mentality versus
the crab
a
in the barrel
thriving mentality. So,
all right, I love what you're saying,
I don't
brother.
want to go that deep with it. I'm just saying though, in our city, I feel like
I hear you.
like these type of conversations is what are like
we need
open
to have
up the minds of the people.
Right. Man, I'm loving this, man. I think we've had a great time, a great conversation. I want to wrap it up real quick. Just tell us a little bit about your school that you got going on, man, and how anybody, if they want to get involved with it, can get involved with that real quick for us.
Yeah, the name of the school is Kiekefer's Entrepreneurial Academy. It's K through 12. It's the only black-owned K-12 in the state of Illinois that's registered and recognized by the Illinois State Board of Education. It's a great place to have your children tap in. Every child who joins our school has to start a small business that generates revenue. Every child who attends our school has to publish a minimum of 1 book a year. It's Black History year-round. And we're tapped in. There's probably at least 50 to 100 black millionaires that look like us that's a part of our network that they tap into. And it's here in Rockford. It's local. You know what I'm saying? We're branching out. Of course, we're moving to other cities as well. But in Rockford, like same issue you was just talking to, we put them resources on the table for free.
All right.
All the time. So tap in with us. Go to Kiekefer's. Let me spell it. K-I. I got it on the shirt, right? KIKIFERS, then the word academy.org, and go to the website. You can get in contact with us. We on Facebook, Instagram, all that.
What's your enrollment like? How many students y'all got?
Right now, I think we at maybe like 45 students. We went up to about 100, and then we chopped it in half because we had to redo our intake process. So right now, we're at about maybe 45, but we're in school year round. Every child who attends our school is at least a grade and a half above their reading level or 2 grades above their reading level and comprehension, also with math. So literally, we have some of the best numbers in the state of Illinois against any private school anywhere. So if children look like us, tap in.
I heard that, man. All right, my man, just closing cap, any comments you want to make real quick?
No, man, it was just my first experience, man.
All right, your first time, huh?
Yeah, just messing around on the podcast. I do feel like content really is. No, I'm saying I feel like content is king right now.
Facts.
Right.
So I feel like that's the way to get the information out to people.
I agree, man. Hey, so going forward, I'd love to have both of you guys come back, man, and we can kick it a little bit more. Maybe my 4th crowd show we can get a little more deeper. An hour just ain't enough time to talk about stuff like this. I feel like we just need more time. So again, thank you all for appearing on Skull City Podcast. I'm your boy BTA Rennie. Until next time, stay warm because the winter is coming. Peace out.
Jump in the Rover and come over. Tell your friends, jump in the GM3. I got the chronic by the